Hi, I'm Olivia from Wilkinson Cameras, and today I'll be reviewing the brand new Sony FX2, Sony's latest addition to their cinema line. Now, just to give you some context, I use the FX3 for my personal work, and we use the Sony ZV-E1 in-house for a lot of the content here on this channel. So when the FX2 was announced, I was really excited, not only to test it out in the field, but also to see where it fits in Sony's lineup alongside those cameras. If you've been following Sony cameras, you'll know the FX2 sits in a really interesting place. On paper, it looks like a natural successor to the FX3, but there are a few key differences that make it appealing for some filmmakers and maybe less so for others. Kane and I took the FX2 out into the Lake District to test it in low light, landscapes, and even some casual street and village photography. So we've had a good chance to see how it performs in the real world, not just on paper. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. Drop a like and let me know in the comments what you think about the FX2, or if you've got any questions about it at all. So let's start with the heart of the camera, the 33 megapixel full frame back illuminated XMR sensor paired with the Bionz XR processor and Sony's AI processing unit. That's a big shift from the FX3's 12 megapixel sensor. With the FX2, you're getting a lot more resolution. Now, while that might not sound like a huge deal for video, it actually opens up the door for some really nice oversampling. The FX2 oversamples 7K down to 4K, giving you a sharper, more detailed image with smoother gradations, especially in high contrast situations. In practice, we noticed this most when filming in the lakes, rolling hills, distant trees, tiny details in stonework. Everything just looked crisp. And in post, you could push the footage without the image falling apart. That extra resolution also means you can grab usable stills, 33 megapixel photos, which is another difference from the FX3. So if you're a hybrid shooter who wants a cinema focused camera but also likes having proper stills, the FX2 has the edge here. But here's the trade-off. The Sony FX3's 12 megapixel sensor has larger pixels, making it stronger in very low light. The FX2 still did really well. We shot in the dark in Rydal Caves and got surprisingly clean results at high ISOs. But if low light is your absolute priority, the FX3 still wins here. Now, moving on to dynamic range and colour, the FX2 delivers 15 plus stops of dynamic range when shooting in S-Log3 with dual base ISOs of 800 and 4000, pretty standard for Sony's cinema line. In practice, that just means if you're filming at high contrast scenes like in the lakes where the sky's blazing bright, but the valleys are in shadow, you can expose for the highlights and still pull back a ton of detail in shadows during grading. Colour-wise, you've got s-cinetone straight out of the box, Sony's beautiful cinematic profile. It's fantastic if you don't want to spend ages grading. And for those who like to fine-tune, the FX2 lets you import up to 16 custom LUTs. You can monitor them on the LCD or in the EVF, which gives you a closer look to the final graded look. Another thing worth mentioning is the recording options, because Sony has packed in a lot here. You get 4K full frame recording with 7K oversampling and no pixel binning. Switch into Super 35mm and you can shoot 4K at up to 60 frames per second. For slow motion, you've got full HD up to 120 frames per second, giving you 5 times slow motion. Color depth is 10-bit 422, which is really solid for grading. And if you need it, there's 16-bit raw output via HDMI to an external recorder. For most people, internal recording will be plenty. But for productions needing maximum colour information, the raw output is a big deal. Personally, Kane and I stuck to the internal recording and the files held up beautifully when grading landscapes and low light shots. Now, one of the biggest upgrades over the FX3 is autofocus. The FX2 brings AI-based real-time recognition AF. The AI processor lets the camera recognize humans, animals, birds, vehicles, even insects. It's also better tracking movement, especially human eyes and poses. Sony claims it's about 30% more accurate than the FX3, and honestly, it felt sticky. For example, while shooting in the village, I tracked people walking through the narrow streets with busy backgrounds. The AF didn't hurt or get confused, it just locked on and stayed there. You can see this in the AF examples that Kane and I shot, and for landscapes we actually tracked some kids in the distance and it recognized them. That's when you realize the AI is more than just a marketing hype. Stabilization is another area where the FX2 impressed me. It features both active mode and the new dynamic active mode. Dynamic active gives you around 30% more stabilization, making handheld shooting much more smoother, even when moving very quickly. I was really impressed with the footage that I shot alongside the lakeside paths. The handheld footage didn't feel jittery at all, and when you run it through apps like Catalyst with the embedded metadata, it's even smoother. It doesn't fully replace a gimbal for fast moving shots, but it makes handheld work way more practical. Stabilization is something Sony really nails. Now, let's talk about the viewfinder and LCD, because I had mixed feelings here. On the plus side, the EVF is a sharp 3.68 million dot OLED, and in bright daylight it was an absolute lifesaver. Unlike many hybrids, it tilts up to 90 degrees, so you can shoot low or high angles while still using it. The eye cup can also be removed or flipped, which is very handy. When I wasn't using it, it felt a bit in the way. I found myself wishing it was detachable, especially detachable for the FX3, because it would be nice to have a choice. But also, if you're using a DJI or Rode mic, the receiver blocks the full tilt, which is very annoying. If you're used to the FX3's clean viewfinderless design, you'll notice this straight away. The Vari-Angle LCD, though, is excellent. It flips and rotates smoothly and doesn't get blocked by any cables like the HDMI, which is a nice little design touch. In terms of handling and build, the FX2 keeps that flat top cinema line design like the FX3 and FX30, compact, lightweight, and with multiple 1/4 inch mounting points built right into the body, so you can rig it up without a cage. There are tally lamps on the front, top and rear, and the magnesium alloy body feels tough with improved dust and moisture resistance, handy in unpredictable Lake District weather. The button layout is spot on. ISO, shutter, aperture and white balance are all right there. The Big 6 home screen lifted from Sony's higher end cinema cameras is genuinely useful. You get your 6 core settings in one place, making operations much quicker, and FX3 and FX30 users now get the Big 6 via firmware too, which is just great news. There's also a vertical interface for social media, 7 custom buttons and plenty of ways to personalize controls. Ergonomics are solid, everything falls to hand, and there's even a zoom rocker on the handle. And even if you want better handling, you can attach the new XLR handle unit, which adds pro audio inputs. Connectivity is strong too, dual card slots, both SD and one also taking CF Express Type A cards, full-size HDMI Type A's, USB-C, micro USB and headphone and mic jacks. Speaking of audio, the XLR handle, you can record 4-channel 24-bit straight into the camera, no extra recorders, no messy setups. Connectivity wise, you've got 4K live streaming, wired LAN, Wi-Fi and direct cloud uploads with Sony's Creators Cloud workflow. Definitely built for modern production environments. Battery life is solid using the NP-FZ100 batteries. Expect about 100 minutes of real world shooting or 155 minutes of continuous. And heat management is excellent. The internal fan and graphite cooling kept shooting 4K 60 long clips outdoors with zero overheating. So how does it compare to the FX3? Well, the FX2 has the high resolution 33 megapixel sensor, oversampled 7K to 4K, upgraded AI autofocus, a proper viewfinder and usable stills. It feels like a true hybrid cinema camera. The FX3, on the other hand, has bigger pixels on its 12 megapixel sensor for better low light performance, and the cleaner, compact body without the EVF might suit run and gun or gimbal shooters a lot better than the FX2. If you want maximum flexibility in post or you shoot hybrid, the FX2 makes a lot of sense. But if you live in low light and don't care about stills, the FX3 might still be a better tool. At the start of this video, I said I still love my FX3, and that hasn't changed. It's such a reliable, no-nonsense camera, but after testing the FX2, I see why Sony built it. It's sharper, more versatile, and the autofocus is genuinely next level. Some changes feel like real upgrades, things I'd like to see across the cinema line, but some choices left me torn, like the viewfinder, which I loved in bright light, but found intrusive at times. I kind of wish this was detachable so I could put it on my FX3 if I wanted that or needed that. So would I trade my FX3 for the FX2? Not right now. But if I were starting fresh and wanted a compact cinema camera for hybrid shooting, landscapes and modern workflows, the FX2 would be hard to ignore. It's not a replacement for the FX3, but it does carve out its own place in the Sony lineup. And I think that's exactly what Sony intended. And that's it for today's video. Thanks for watching. Let me know in the comments what you think of the FX2 and whether you'd pick it over the FX3. Don't forget to subscribe for more reviews like this. If you want to order one or check it out in person, head to one of our stores in the north of England or to visit our website. I'll pop relevant links in the description box below. And just to be upfront, in this video I've gone deep into the FX2 with lots of samples, but I still love my FX3. It's my personal go-to and has been for a while. After using the FX2 in the lakes though, I can see it's not just an FX3 with more megapixels. Some changes are genuine upgrades, others a bit more divisive. Thanks for watching.